Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are making a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. So today I'm thinking we're going to be continuing our pagination for our signposts here. So we, instead of doing a printf that handles the wrapping for the text limit every line, we're instead manually printing each line at a time. So this is a proof of concept to show that, hey, we can print one line at a time and reset it, and then we'll take a look at what the code looks like to get this. Now I pause here because I thought that this was a different text box, but no, this makes sense because we're hard coding it in. If we look at our signpost logic here, we're assigning. So here's a couple of things, right? So pages is the table of pages of text. So every page can have 3 lines of dialogue. Every line can have 19 characters. That means 57 characters can fit on one page. So for right now, we're saying we're hard coding in a certain amount of things because we have to come up with a page length. So we get a total line count divided by 3. So, today we'll be partly figuring out how to automate this process of counting how many lines, counting how many pages, and then populating the strings with both the character count for how many strings there are, how many characters in the string, as well as every page's string. Every line on every page's string, essentially. So what we're doing here is we're saying, give us a page length, and then for every page length, we're going to go into the index of each page we have and just put an empty table. So if there's 3 total pages, we have 3 pages tables indexable at pages 1, pages 2, pages 3, so forth. Then inside each page, I'm saying also put an empty table for every line. So line 1 gets an empty table, line 2 gets an empty table, line 3 gets an empty table. Then once we have those tables, we can assign a field to that table. So page 1, first page, first line is a string called this line 1. And we have a character count. And then, that's how we're hard coding in all the strings for each line on just one page worth of dialogue. Then we have a line count, which a line count is which line we're on while we're printing. So if line count is 1, only print line 1. If line count is 2, print whatever line 1 result is plus 2 as we do it. So what that looks like is down here, we have a timer, we have a trigger, a threshold timer trigger. So if our timer's past a certain threshold, then if we're on the first line, go ahead and append 1 character at a time to the result string. Go ahead and, increment our text index so we can go to the next string. And this ... operator here concatenates 1 string at a time to the result. And then for as long as our text index, or once our text index becomes greater than the character count for the page and line number, then we're going to go ahead and increment that line count. We're going to reset our text index and then do this. So I'm sure there are a ton of optimizations we can do here, and we have to get away from this hard coding of the string. So if we take a look at our map declarations, we can see that we actually give a text argument here. This is a test sentence where we can see that the words can be cut off from one page to the next. That is the .text parameter that we pass in here. So .text, self.text gets the text that we give there. So we have to take this text, And then we have to essentially populate line at a time, page at a time, and only add the next word to the current pages and line result string if the total number of characters in the next word we're about to add don't put our current line count total over the 19 character limit. So there's a lot to kind of, there's a lot to go wrong, but I think if we take it one step at a time, we'll be okay. Yeah, so total line count. Let's see where we use this total line count. Okay. This makes sense because we don't know how many pages we have. Because a different amount of characters can result in a different amount of pages and a different line count, depending on where the word wraps to the next line. So we have to do some stuff here. Let's take it real slow here. And what we'll do is we'll say for I gets 1 for the amount of, we have a text length, which is the number of text characters are in here. So we're going to say do something for every text, right? So we pass in the text, we snag the text in our self.text, we snag the length of our text. Okay, yeah, so we're saying just do a for loop for every text character in our text string. And then here, essentially what we need to do is say, as we get another page, we need to insert a table for every line on the given page that we just inserted. Then we need to ultimately populate the string field and the character count field for every string that we're trying to have text for. So total line count we don't know until we've added. Yeah, we need to just increment total line count. Let's start it at 0. And the goal here is to do all of this in the init, so that once we do the init, since we give it the text, it'll kind of run through and populate all the pages and strings and lines. Oh, jeez, man. I'm getting a little overwhelmed because I'm thinking about, like, well, what happens when we have an NPC that the dialogue needs to advance and change? I guess we would just modify the right now, this is in a signpost class, which it should probably be in its own dialog box class or something, and then we can just change the text field depending on certain conditions. But yeah, this isn't going to be so pretty, but let's see if we can do it. Okay, so what do we do? What do we want to do when we're cycling through the text? We want to if we're at the start of a word, find end of word and add that count to current character count. Yeah, I mean, I guess instead of just pseudocode, let's just do it, right? Because if we're just going to retype it. Okay, so for I gets 1 for our text length, we're going to say if our text at index I, the current character we're at, is equal to a non-space character. So we can say does not equal a space. I don't know how, if that doesn't look legit. If self.text does not equal a space character, does not is tilde. Okay. If self.text at index I doesn't equal a space, we need a this is a little weird in a word, but we're going to say if the index is not a space and we're not in a word meaning because the idea here is once we find a word, we need to count for as long as we're in a word, right? So like we count every character that's not a space until we reach a space. Then we have the total length of that word. We need to add it to the current character count for the line. And then if it's bigger than 17, then we need to go advance our line field. So we put it on the next line. So, oh my goodness. If it's not a space, then we're in a word, right? So like if the I is not a space, This is dumb. Let's just say that we are in a word at this point. And then we can say, if we're in a word at the character, we need to find an index. This is just a Boolean, so if we're in a word, then we basically need to cycle through who knows how many times, We can give a max word count. We can probably safely say that the max word count isn't going to be longer than 19. So if we're in a word, then we're going to cycle through all the next characters. So we say for I gets 1 for as long as potentially 19, but it's really until we find a space. So we're going to cycle through, and what we're going to cycle through is our text at our index. It would be, this needs to be a different value here, like K. And we can say, go into our I plus our K, is that right? Because I would be the character we're at in the loop, and then K would be any character offset. Yeah, so we need to check, up to 19 characters after our text and say if the text plus this extra space is equal to a space, then we'd want to break our loop. But before we do that, we would need to say self dot in a word gets false, because I think we need to, oh my goodness. Yeah. So what we need to do now is we need a total line count number. Character count number. I know we have a character count, and that is a field in our line. So I think what we can do is have a page character count. Self.page or line character count in our page. Line character count. We'll initialize it to 0. And every text, oh my goodness. Yeah, if we're in a word, we don't want to add the word unless, you know, after this, if we're in a word, we don't want to add it to the string, to the current page line. If there's so many things. We need we need to increment a count here that says, you know, character count, line character count here is gonna get, can we do plus equals? I don't think plus equals is in Lua. So character count plus 1, we're going to increment our line character count if the text is not a space. Okay, so if we have this is line 1, text at index 1 would be a capital T for this is line 1. We become marked as in a word. We count what line we're at by incrementing the line character count. Then we're also in a word because we know that this thing wasn't a space. So if we're in a word, then we need to cycle through all the characters to the right of that word and see if it's equal to a space, because we're trying to see the end of the word and count what that is. So it's not that we want to increment a line character count, it's that we want to increment like a word count or something more descriptive, like word supplement count or something like that. Oh man. This is getting weird. It's okay, it's okay. So yeah, we're gonna, once we find a word, we're gonna say, okay, well now that we've got that word, we're gonna take the index of that first word, the first character of the word, and then we're gonna check the next character and see if that's equal to a space. And we don't do anything until we find that space, until we find the end of the word. And the end of the word will be the index of the first character of the word, plus however many counts it takes to find a space. Then, if that character, once that character is a space, once it is, I guess we would only do this if it's not a space. So we increment the supplemental count if we find a character and not a space, right? So the word supplement count, yeah, that's a bad word for it, but I don't know what else to put. We're going to increment our word supplement, and then by the time we find the end of the word, we're going to say we're no longer in a word and break. And that leaves us with a word supplement count, which is how many characters until the end of the word. So once we've broken from there, we're still in a word in our main loop here. So before we determine whether or not we want to add this word into our current page and current line, we need to check if we're in a word and if the it would be this line character count, I think. We want to see if the line character count plus the word supplement count is greater than 19. So we can say if the amount of characters past our word plus whatever character line count we're currently at is greater than 19, then we need to add to the next page. Okay, and what that would look like is, and before we do this, we need a loop. Oh my gosh. It's hard because we don't know. We don't have the total page count yet, and we don't have the total line count yet either. So we don't know how many tables to insert like this. Because we have to insert an empty table for every line on every page we have, but we don't know how many pages we have yet because we have to determine that based on the words and the spacing. So I think this gets us to the point where we're able to determine if we need to put the word on the next page, but we haven't yet added the word to the current page if this is not the case. So we can say else we need to add the current word to the current page and the current line. Oh my gosh, yeah. And then move on. It's tricky because there's the loop here. We're cycling through the text length right here, and that doesn't know. I guess it's that. The in a word is kind of weird because I don't want to have to go cycle through and recalculate the word supplement count if we're in a word and we know that by the time we get to the end of the word, we're already going to append it because the line character count plus the word supplement count is smaller than 19. So I don't like that we would have to do that anyway. So I'm trying to think of a way we can basically say, like, at this point, when we break because we found a character and not a space, that means we found the end of a word. If we find the end of the word, well, I'm thinking because we don't know if that word, we don't know what, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's really tough. Because like on a high level, it's just like all we do is add a character to the line if the word that character is part of combined with the current index of the line we're printing is smaller than the limit for the text on a line. But once we know Once we get to the end of a word and we know that that word count plus the line count we were currently printing it at is smaller than the text limit, we know we can add that whole word to the string. But yeah, so how do we just say, you know what, if we find a word, if we find the end of a word, how do we say here that we can say would we because this isn't the part that prints the text one character at a time. This is just populating the string field of each line. So we don't have to worry about, all we have to do is make sure that we get the string in its whole form just assigned here. It doesn't really matter about the substring here. We don't worry about that. So this is if we're past the limit, we need to add, we basically need to, instead of adding the first character of this word to the current line, we need to increment our line to go and add it to the next page. But if it's smaller than this limit, then we need to add the whole word to the string. And we don't have a way to do, I guess we have a word supplement count. I don't like that name, but we have the amount of characters past our index that the whole word is, because we already calculated that. Yeah, by the time we find a space, by the time we find the end of a word, we have the character count for that word. And that's what I'm calling word supplement count. I don't know what else to call it. But we basically need to say, ideally, it's part of our pages, and it's at whatever page we're on. So like, bear with me. Page we are on. This isn't real yet, but like the page we are on at the line we're on. And we need to say, so we're going to say go into the string from the page that we're on at the line that we're on, and we're actually going to append the whole word. So we want to take the current string, which is this whole thing. So we're going to take the whole current string, and we're going to append the whole word that we know can fit on this line. So we're going to say the whole word would be, let me think this through. The whole word would be the self.text. We could do the substring. I think we need to do the substring. So we're saying a substring of our original text, and the starting index is going to be the self.text at index I, because that is the start of the word. That's the start. That is the first character that is not a space. Because as soon as we find a character that's not a space, we're in a word, and that's what kicks off this whole condition. So once we find the start of a word, yeah, we do all this, and then we say, take our current string, which is a line and a page, and we're going to say we concatenate with a substring of our original parameter text, but it's a substring that starts at the first word of our text. Yeah, not necessarily the first word, but the first character of the next word, essentially. And the last character is going to be whatever the text I plus this word supplement count, because we increment this supplement count anytime we are inside of a word and the next character we find is not a space. As soon as it's a space, we break from that. Yeah, as soon as it's a space, we break from being in a word, leaving us with, hopefully, the count of the length of the word that we were currently in. So, yeah. Okay. So if that is the substring that we're adding, holy crap. Yeah. Yeah, and we're going to append it to... Now, the thing is, right now, we don't have a page we're on and a line we're on variables. So we need to keep track of that as we build this out. And then we don't have advance the line we're on. Or if the line we're on is 3 and we have to advance, then reset line we're on to 1 and advance the page we're on to be the next page. Then once we have all the pages and all the lines, we can get the total line count, total page count, and then we can do the rest of the thing here, which is assign our tables and then assign the result strings. Okay. So we need to do this page we're on and line we're on, and it's just getting confusing because of our field names, I think. So we have a total line count. That is the amount of lines that once we successfully parse all of our text into the correct lines and pages, that's how many current total lines there are for the whole thing. Line character count is the character count while we're inside of a line to make sure it doesn't go past the threshold. Word supplement count is the amount of characters inside the word. Once we find a word, it's the extra characters until we find the end of the word. Okay, so let's literally just do the page we are on, just because I think it'll help me figure this out, and then the line we are on. Okay, we start on the first page and the first line. We know if there's any string, if there is a dialog box, we start on page 1, line 1. And we know we have this set up where if at our pages and then the double index, we need an empty table. So we can't touch this string field like we are right here. We can't touch that string field until there is a empty table in that page we're on and line we're on. We need that first. So it's like we need to, but then again, we don't even have, yeah, we need to, let's, dude, it's like it's hard because we don't know how many pages we need until we successfully parse all the strings. But we can't parse the strings until we have tables in place for us to place the parse strings into. So I think we just have to assign them as we're on them, and only if we need them, assign the next one. So like we don't have any page 2 pages at index 2 values here because we don't have any necessity for a string on a page 2, but if we get to that point, we need to add one. So instead of doing this, where we're saying give us a page for every page length, we're just going to say if we're on page 1 and pages index I is not an empty table, or is not an empty table, then go ahead and add an empty table for it, and then go ahead and populate the lines with an empty table as well, so that we can actually assign a dot string field to each of the lines. Yeah. So we're going to say, I mean, at the bare minimum, we know if we're giving a dialog box like this, we know we need at least one page and an empty table for each line. We know that much. So we can just start off the bat by saying like, hey, if we're populating a text field for a dialog box, we know that our pages at index 1 needs an empty table, and all of our lines also need an empty table. Hey, Magnetonics, hey, thank you for the raid, dude. Hey, I appreciate it. How did your raid go? I didn't see what you're up to. I saw that you were streaming, but I had to get to it, so I couldn't hang out. We're in for a doozy today. We're working on, let's see if it even works. For our dialogue box here, you managed to finish a really old game you never managed to beat. That's always a great feeling, huh? To finally come back to something and finish it. It's like, yeah, it's always nice. Like, it took me a couple of years to beat Metroid Fusion. I was stuck on the last boss, but I finally just sat down and did it. Always a good feeling. So yeah, we're working on the dialog box here for printing. It's just that we need the multiple pages. So we're working on doing a bunch of stuff. Yeah, we know from the get-go we need an empty table at our pages 1 because we have to be able to put a text box into a text box. So we can at least populate the first one right off the bat here. Hey, dude, yeah, no worries at all. Thanks for the raid. I appreciate it. Hope you get some rest. Thanks for the raid. Hope you had a good day. Yeah, take care, dude. Always appreciate the raid. Wish it was a bit more interesting for viewers, because it's kind of like, it's just one of this, it's tough for me to figure out if this is even going to work, but we can try it. So instead of the page we're on, we have a self.page we are on, and then we can actually add the increment. Now that we have this variable for it, we can say what this is doing. Oh my god. Yeah, what this is doing is adding the whole word. As long as the word can fit on the current line, we're going to go ahead and just add the whole word. And then this is wrong because we don't have a way to add. I think we would also need to become in a word false at this point. I don't exactly know. Say we're no longer in a word, we just added the whole word, and then we can modify our local I value to be equal to, I don't know what. Like whatever our I value is needs to be modified by the count for the word so that we don't go ahead and add a word we've already added. can I do I gets I plus our word supplement count? And then here, if our word, if the character we're at when we're printing plus the next word length is going to be greater than that line limit, then we need to go ahead and just increment the page we're at, or the self.page we are on gets incremented. And then the line we're on gets reset to 1. Line we are on, yeah. And then we need to also, right here, we need to add the next page worth of tables for both the page and the lines. So we need to say self.pages at index page we are on. Because right now this table doesn't exist, so we need to say go into an index of the page we're on and give it an empty table, and then also go into the, how do we do it? The line we are on, okay, 1, 2, and 3 need to get an empty table. So we say pages at index, whatever page we're on, at index 1, 2, and 3, get an empty table. So we could do a little for loop here. I just think that since we're already inside a for loop, so I think the I will just screw stuff up. I'm just gonna code them like this for now. And I think there's enough problems here for me to wrap my head around that it's gonna be tough to test. So yeah. Okay, so we start off, we give ourselves a table in the page 1, and we give ourselves an empty table for each line 1, 2, and 3. So if we look at our working code here, we had a table for every page in our page length. Then we had an empty table for every line in the page length, which was only 1. Then we had a string field that we assigned into the line and a character count. So this is nuts. Yeah, this is nuts. Okay, let's just run through it real quick. We cycle through every text that we pass in, which could be, it could be a total of 5 different pages with 3 lines on each page and a bunch of different words and stuff. We start off with our first page and all lines getting empty. We cycle through all the characters in the text. And if the text at index I is not equal to a space, meaning it is a character, then we are in a word, is what we're calling it. We count how many line characters we're at every index, and if we are in a word, oh yeah, we would need to increment this when we add a word too. But while we're in a word, we're going to cycle through 19 characters length, because I didn't know what to hard code. We don't know how long the word could be that we're on, right? Like it could be a 10 character word. I just put the line limit of 19 here. And we're going to say if the text at the character we're at plus the character we're checking, Like once we find a word, we're checking every subsequent character until it's equal to a space. That would mark the end of a word. And if it's the end of a word, we're going to break. Otherwise, we're going to increment what we're calling the word supplement count. So we're trying to count how many characters are in the given word that we're currently inside of, because we're trying to check, the current word length plus the length of the character we're currently printed. Make sure that's not past the limit of what we're trying to print on the screen. So once we break, we're no longer in a word. We've got a word supplement count. So we break and we come out here and we say, okay, we're gonna check our line character count, which is like the character count we're at in the loop. I guess we could just check I here. We're checking the line character count plus the word supplement count and seeing if it's greater than 19. If it's greater than 19, we're going to increment the page we're on. We're going to reset the line we're on. We're going to give the next page all of the empty tables that we need to append a .string field into it. So if we can fit that entire word onto the current line, then this else gets triggered. And what we do, if we can fit the whole word, is we're going to say, go to the page we're on at the line we're on in the string field and go ahead and assign into that string the current string. It's like whatever character and whatever words have come before it. And we're going to concatenate a substring of the whole new word that we know can fit on this line. So we're doing a text substring method at the current text character we're at, plus however many characters until the end of that word, so that we insert that whole word effectively into the string. So the thing we need to make sure we do here is take our line character count and implement it or increment it by our word supplement count, so that our line character count includes the count for the word we just added. I don't think we need this. I don't think we need this because we already set in a word to false. And then we're going to increment our I to be equal to the current index plus that word supplement count. So the goal of that is so that we don't have to go through and check every subsequent character until we find the end of a word, because we already found the end of a word. So now I'm hoping that once we do this, once we get to the end here, our I, this is our local variable I, gets set so that the I will be a number still less than the text length, but it'll hopefully surpass all the indexes that are inside of a word. So maybe I don't know. We can try it. We can try it and see, because like this is all the old logic here. So like we know this works if we give it a character count and a string count, or a string, actually a string to print on a given line. It should go ahead and print okay. We've got that working. Now we just need to get the string field to be populated with the correct characters. So what else are we missing? Well, all we're doing is, so we need at least the character count. So for right now, I'm just gonna hard code in the character count, because there's so many things going on that I just need to make sure this part is working. Then we can code the character count and make sure that's working separately. So by the time we add, let's see, and you know what? We could literally just say the character count for each line. Let's just, if we put in our map declarations, when we go to put, and this is tough because we don't know what line is on what character. Here, let's do this. So we're gonna 19 insert 1. How do we do that? Almost. 19 insert 1. Okay, so that should be 1 line worth. So I'm just gonna say like this is a test line, and that's 19 characters. And then this is a test line 2. This is a test line 3. So each of those should be 19 characters long. So that should be, this is a line, this is a test line, this is a test line 2, this is a test line 3. But the difference is we're giving it in one big string, other than manually assigning the dot string of the current page, of the current line, to be a substring of 19 or less characters. So if we can get that working, then we're doing okay. And I'm just going to say that the character count is going to be 19 for each line. We can calculate that, based on the real character count, but for now they're all 19. But I think we don't increment our character count. Well, line character count. We only increment the line character count if it's not a space. I think that's wrong. I think we need, because spaces count as part of the part of the monospace font. So I think we need to increment our line character count for every loop here. And what we're doing with the line character count is just testing. Yeah, our character count needs the space, because if there are a bunch of spaces, adding a new word could put us over the limit. So we need that on spaces as well. So I'm a little worried about this line here. And then I'm just generally worried about the logic overall. But we've got a character count. We've got a pages at index 1. And the second array of that index all has the empty table, which means we should be able to add the string field and append to it something. So what are we doing here? I guess we're okay to test. We have a line result that gets as a empty string. Okay, so that should be okay, because like all this substring stuff depends on a proper string being supplied. So it would just be broken, and that would mean that we screwed up our string field. Let's see what happens. All right. 117 strings and no value. Yeah. 117. This is in the update function though. So it's telling me pages 1.1 doesn't have an empty table, but we do definitely have an empty table at 1.1 right here. We've got it. So it just must have not had a string. Let me just see. Let's just see if we said okay. So it does work if we give it the strings here. So we're just screwing up in our logic. Okay, 122. I find it weird that it's crashing in the update, but I guess if the string field doesn't equal anything, it can't append a substring of something that it doesn't have. So we're just not doing our substring correctly. We have a pages at a page we're on and a line we're on, dot string. I don't even know where to start with this. We know we have the table for the page we're on. And the page we're on, page we're on. Okay. Oh yeah. We give us these tables on the page 1. This is just if we need a page 2. So this shouldn't ever get executed because we don't have 2 pages worth of text. So we should just be having this stuff, which is page we're on, line we're on, dot string gets. Let's copy this and just say, what if we just say that the string itself is just any old string? Because like it might be just this line we screwed up. So let's put hello 1 as a string into the current page we're on and line we're on string field, and let's see if we get that. No. 1, 2, 3 is still wrong. 1, 2, 3 cannot do the substring of the pages 1, 1 text index. Okay. Well, the text index is only managed. Well, do we not have a text? Oh yeah, we have a text index here, so that should be okay. If we do this with a hard-coded 1, 1, what does it say? Still. Okay. We might be this might be the line. I don't know. I mean, this one was the one I was unsure about, so just don't know. I still can't do it. 1, 2, 3 is the line we're crashing. Now the thing is, this we know this code is right because if we pass it the string manually, it handles it fine. It's just that once we're going through our logic in the init, that's when it crashes. So we know we have we have an empty table here at index 1 when we just started dumping frames. I guess we just crashed. Yeah, if we give this... Man, what's wrong, dude? It's just totally busted. 10 p.m. and the stream crashes. Trying in 4, 3, 2... Let's try it again. All right, it's just totally busted. Okay. It's probably going to want to load ads again. Yeah, I mean, clearly something in our loop is jacked up, and we're dumped. Oh, man. Sorry, Twitch. Okay. I don't know why my internet just crapped out, but... it's confusing to me. It's just this is just telling me that, well, and it's really strange that if we just have this, if we just have that string manually assigned, it works fine, which is really weird because that means in the init right past here we're not actually assigning a string field to the correct page or anything. Because, like, if we were to say, we were to take all of this, oh, we need every line. Yeah, we need every line, not just the first line. If any line is empty, this won't work. So if we put the test strings here, we comment this out, I'm guessing that this will still work. Let's see. Well, really doesn't like that. I don't know what to even test here. If we were to just, if we were to just take all of this and put it down here, it'll work fine. Right? Yeah. Okay, so our for loop and everything has just got to be subject. Let's walk it through. We're going to go for every text length. We're going to increment the line character count. We don't ever reset this at the end of a line, so we need to at least do that. If we need to go to the next line, then we're going to set our line character count back to 1 or 0. And then I guess we initialize this to line character count at 0, yeah. Okay. So if we go to the next line, we got to reset our character count because that's the only way we're seeing where to, yeah, okay. Let's comment this out. We'll see if the line character count reset helps us add in the right strings, because that could screw a lot of stuff up. In the string we're trying to add, we're just trying to manually say the string. Yeah, let's do this. We'll put the test strings in there. This is total, this isn't how we need to do it, but this is just to see if we crash again. Yeah, crashing at 130 this time. It's because we moved. Okay, I don't know. If we delete that and we put them down here, are we okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay, so it's just our for loop that is jacked up. It's just that I don't get why we're crashing. Let's try it again with our original logic, which is go to the string of the page we're on and line we're on and go ahead and add the rest of the word there. Yeah, it just doesn't like it. Okay. You don't like that. Now it says, if we look at what the line says when it crashes, it says attempt to index a field string which is a nil value. So it's telling me this dot string doesn't exist. So maybe we did have a string to put. We might need to manually just say there is a string field and it's empty. Let's try that. Let's say the dot string field here starts out as an empty string. Because we cheated a bit by assigning what the string was, and then now that there wasn't a string to be assigned, it didn't know that there was a string field. So we have to put, hey, there's a string field, it's just an empty string. And let's see if it's mad at us doing the test strings in here. Let's try that. Still mad. Fuck. Okay, if we don't have anything in there, what happens? Fuck. Okay. We have a string field. If it says it's a nil value, it's full of crap. And that they're all empty. So let's see. We're not even doing anything for there to crash. Yeah. Okay, so it's fine there. But then as soon as we try to put a string field with any value, we're going to crash. Oh, we don't. But, okay, so let's see if we put... Let's say that we take the page we're on, the line we're on, and the string field, and we just give it a test here. It's like I'm not surprised all of that code was probably wrong, right? Like, let's just say test1 is the string for every line we're on. Let's see if we get the test1. We don't get jack. Okay. Oh, and because we flesh it here. Okay, we need to... Well, no, because this shouldn't be... Okay, it is strange. It is strange that if we copy this off, comment it out, we would crash. It's strange. Because we don't even get to this line of code because our line character count is never bigger than... Maybe it is. Let me put... We will put... all of these... Wait, so we really crash without those. Yeah. Okay, well, let's just say that we don't do this stuff just yet. Do we still crash? We do. Okay, so before we do this, let's give us an empty string for the first page at least and see if we crash. Okay, we don't crash at least, but, you know, if we put this test is line 2, does this at least give us line 2? Okay, well, we've got that. So yeah, I mean, we've got most of it right in the sense that all we need to do is get that string field appending. So let's try to put... We'll do the string. Oh no, we had... See, and this is what I thought wouldn't get messed up. Let's try to put manually on page 1 and see. Because if this crashes, then our supplemental word count is jacked up, I would think. Line 2. Oh. Yeah, let's get rid of that. Okay, so we're starting out as an empty string, and then we say if the text is an empty character. Now, this could be just totally wrong. Like, this might not be how to check an empty character. I don't exactly know. But when we put test1 in there in the string, it's empty. You know, we should be seeing the string at 1 so this else is never getting called, which means, because if we were to take just this line and put right here, say, you know what, we have a string on line 1 and it says test1, it'll give us just test1, the first line. So that means this else is never getting called, and that means that this is wrong. So like if... Oh yeah. Well, it's line character count. Let's just say... I feel like our word supplemental count is wrong, but let's just try this. Looking for test 1. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so like if we get, you know, if this is test 2, let's see if that shows up. Okay. All right. So let's try our original logic here, where we concatenate with the line we're on. Now the thing is, this word supplement count is wrong. Sub. Bad argument 1, number expected got nil. Texted eyes were what? Oh god. I need like a debugger that tells me what character is wrong. Bad argument 1 to sub. It got a number expected but got nil. Okay, text at index I was nil. But you've got text at index I, it should be this for I. So why would our self.text index I be nil? Let's just say index 1. It's going to say bad argument 2. No. Okay, well the good news is that was the actual parameter we passed in, so it is appending characters from the text, which is good. It's just that this, see, why would the argument 1, that's the, why would self dot text index I, it's fine enough for the second argument, so why would the first argument be mad? What? Why are you mad at that? You'll take it as the second argument. So what if we just say 1, you're fine with that? Whatever, dude. Okay. Well, we did not get it done. I don't know what the move is. I don't know if we do something different altogether, or we might. I think what we're going to have to do is just test smaller things at a time. So like, this is fine and all, but what if we just say we have a if in our init we have just a test variable, and it just says this has 2 spaces, 3 spaces. Then we say for I gets 1 for as long of our characters and our text. We're gonna do if test at index I is equal to a space. I'm trying to test if we're actually doing this right for the word increment count. If the index is there, then we can say space count gets space count plus 1. Okay. It should be 3 because we have 3 spaces. So let's say local space count starts off as 0. We're going to cycle through our text. If it's an empty space, we're going to say increment our space count, and then we're just going to print our space count here. So we'll say Space count. Okay. Space count is nil. Okay. So that's at least getting us somewhere, because this is how I was assuming we can count the spaces, and it's just nil. It could be that it's a local variable, or it could be, let's see. Let's make it global. Yeah, actually let's just put it outside here. Okay, now the render function should have access to it. Okay, space count is 0, so it isn't counting a space. Hey Shaky, what's up? Yeah, we aren't counting a space in the text here. So this means all of our supplemental word counts were jacked up. Okay, so how can we test? I might have to Google this. For Love2d count space characters. I don't know how to do it. Yes, I'm in the Love2d game engine using Lua. So yeah, love2d.org has got all the goods. But yeah, it's cool. It's open source. Works on, builds for Windows, Mac, and Linux, as well as the web. So I'm happy with it for this game, and we'll just see how far we can go. But let's do this for. There should be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Like maybe the number operator screwed us up there. Oh no, I hate when this happens. Yeah, we're still not counting the spaces in the text here. Okay, and my computer's freezing up. Okay, sweet. I don't what is Playdate game jam? Okay, if the index is equal to, you would think that would count a space and then increment it. But it's not. Is there a isSpace function or something? I don't know. But it's not counting these spaces, and that's screwing us up. Yeah, it's really screwing us up. Game Boy device. Playdate is a Game Boy device? I'm interested in this. I'll have to look at this. Oh. This is interesting. So you can actually you wrote this accepts Lua? This is interesting. Lua and C APIs. This is cool. I mean, you're still, like, you have to play in its engine, right? Like, It'll be Lua, but for the API for Playdate or whatever. So like all my Love2d knowledge probably can't transfer, but at least my Lua knowledge might. This is interesting. Web-based game editor. Okay, that's interesting. I've seen this thing. I've seen this thing before. I didn't remember what it was called. I didn't know it was on Lua though. That's really cool. That is interesting. Okay, yeah. String match %s does not equal nil. Lua doesn't have characters. It has strings. You have to slice a string by using string.sub, which can get you a string that is 1 byte long, and then pattern match abilities to go check. Really. Lua string library. Is space is num. Ooh, yes, that's what I want. You can cook them up from standard library, from the Lua string library. Okay, so this might be what we need. Okay, hey, I'll check this out, Pill Popper. I'll check that out. So it's like if you built it for Playdate, but then you deployed it for Itch as well. See, we want the is space. Patterns. I don't think I'm gonna figure this out tonight, to be honest. But we can do. Yeah, I'm gonna have to research this. I'll look into this. Yeah, so Shaky, the if you want to compile on your own machine, the source code's right there. You could just drag and drop the folder onto your Love if you've got it installed already, and you can play whatever current build on there. It's also deployed to the web. I got to work on a couple fixes for that. We shared it with a streamer, and he kept accidentally hitting escape. So we need to take out the exit method on the escape press for the web deployment so that you can't accidentally do that. Yeah, I'm going to have to do some reading about this because I thought we could just find a test a character for equality, which is just, I don't get why it's harder than I thought it was. But I'll look into this. We'll either get the string library so that we can get the is space function or whatever, or we'll figure out how to, if we can easily do a pattern match, we'll try to figure that out. Yeah, if you go to tashio.dev, you can play the game here. We don't have I gotta update the controls because that's not right. It's WASD for walking around, and then it's enter for start, not for interact. Enter for start so that you can equip items, and then O and P are the A and B buttons for the Game Boy. So you can equip, different color elements or different tunics. And then if we had our loot equipped, then the O button toggles your loot, and then you've got the strings here and the frets. And then we can pause. But I've got to add the real controls to the help here, and it works on the phone. So like if you hit, these buttons don't work when you click them with the mouse, but they work on the phone to touch. So that works. But we have to get some stuff smoothed out still for that. Like I think the move is to put the controls here beneath the game so that people can read it and see the controls at a glance here, and not have to know, oh, if I hit enter, or I don't even know what. Oh, H is my select button. See, like I try to have H for help in all my games, but it's not very apparent. If you hit H, you can get help, and the help is wrong. So I need to fix that. But I think I've got some homework. I've got to figure out how to determine a space in a character, which I didn't think was that hard, but it's proving otherwise. We'll say working on line population. For text boxes, and we'll push, and we'll call it a night there. Is LOL League of Legends? I mean, if you can build it, you can ship it. Like I don't know if you can do, I mean, I believe in you. You should do it. But yeah, I mean, Love2d can actually do 3D game stuff. There's a Prosto on the Prosto's a streamer. He streams Love2d, and he's doing like a Minecraft essentially in Love2d. So you can definitely do 3D. I can't, but it is possible. Here, we'll rate out here. Yeah, so tomorrow I've got class, so I can't stream tomorrow, but I'll be back Friday, and we'll get, hopefully, the rest of this line stuff working so that we can have custom dialogue for our text boxes and looping on the right word. Hopefully we can get that working. All right. We're raiding out to Hypnotic Games, who's always doing some cool game dev stuff. Thanks for watching. I'll be back Friday with another episode. Yeah, have a good night.